So OpenStack brief and some reviews and cloud technology. Chief reference CA607 Seminar in Cloud Computing Spring 2012 by Dr. Alan D. Maloney. Applied computational instrument for scientific synthesis. The University of Origin groups may configure their own VM images and carry out research work as if had dedicated clusters. This course delivered hands-on operations on the ACISS and cloud computing knowledge to students. So VM and the hypervisor virtual machine is software package sometimes using hardware acceleration that allows an isolated guest operating system to run within a host operating system. Stateless once shut down all hardware state disappear. Hypervisor, a software platform that is responsible for creating, running, and destroying multiple virtual machines. OpenStack is hypervisor agnostic, type 1 and type 2 hypervisor. So looks like type 1 and type 2 hypervisor. It will provide hypervisor guest OS having. So hardware type 1 hardware hypervisor, here hardware host OS hypervisor and the guest OS. They provide bridged networking. So here bridge network is a host OS. So one network card acts as many devices. Host does not need an IP address. Hypervisor sets virtual MAC address for guest machines. So ACIS uses bridges for a virtual local area network to segment traffic and assign network address. So network block storage. So network block storage make data persistent by mounting a network block storage device. NFS mounts many machines may access simultaneously, limited permissions. ISCSI mounts only one machine may access at any given time, unlimited permissions. So object storage, persistent storage of objects on a network, generally written once, read many. Durable storage with redundant copies. Access control list determine visibility for owner and authorized users. Amazon S3 is an example of this. ACISS uses OpenStack script. Shift uses same API and S3. Virtual machine images, disk images that can be booted on a virtual machine by hypervisor can be single image that contains bootloader, kernel and operating system. Bootloader and kernel can be separated, allows for custom kernels and resizable image. Image service store and catalogs virtual machines images, keep track of virtual machines, trace and recover, provides for discovery, registration and deliver of images to hypervisor. So allows for many image formats and for linking of loaders and kernels to images. There are many maybe different types of virtualization technologies and different kernels etc. usually built on object storage systems. Glance on shift. So cloud computing, the course difference in the following way: the orchestration of hypervisor networking, block storage and images and identity services to provide on demand virtual machines. Ends meeting required characteristics of cloud computing: on demand self-service, resource pooling and so network block storage, identity. So keystone main functions provide four primaries: identity, user information authentication, token after logged in, replace account password. Service catalog, service you need to registered. Policies enforces different user levels, can be backed by the different database, LDAP, SQL, key value stores. So user information is having listed below. Username, password, metadata, that is email etc. Tenant organize users into projects of group. Role, define a user's role and permissions in a project. A user must belong to at least one tenant and may belong to many tenant. Roles are assigned to user, tenants, pairs, common roles of member, and so keystone. Once a user identity has been verified with the account password pair, short lived 24-hour token is issued. Tokens are standard in stand in for account password. So OpenStack service holds on tokens and use them to query keystone during operations. For example, once a Nova can use a token to determine if an authenticated user has authorization to delete an instance. Catalog open service stack service endpoints are registered with the keystone to create a service catalog. A client for a service connects to keystone and determines an endpoint to call based on return catalog. Behind the scenes service can be moved to the different endpoints. A client can find online services by querying keystones. Endpoints allows also allows for a service load distribution with multiple endpoints to a server service. Every catalog entry has 5 elements: region, service ID, public URL, internal URL, and admin URL. So keystone process. So client and to open service by intermediate having keystone. Forward authorized request. Use the token to obtain the tenant controls. OpenStack features. Shift. So object storage storage objects live on an endpoint. An endpoint cloud via storage service. Every object belongs to user account pair. Keystone that in shift account to shift user and shift groups. Proxy rings and workers. Account container object. Shift proxy server handles incoming request via the OpenStack object API or a raw HTTP. Accept files to upload modifications to metadata or container creation. Serve files or containing list to web browsers. Several types of ring files may utilize an optional cache to improve performance. Keep a distributed database or replicated objects. Work are divided into reliability zones. So copies of data are distributed across multiple zones. There are many types of workers, that is shift workers. Account server, container server, object server, housekeeping, replication and updater, auditor, tenant controls. So shift ring map names to entities and locations that will be stored data on zones, devices, partitions and replicas. There are 3 types of items, that is account, container, object. The locations are determined by ring file. Worker IP address are loaded into ring builder. Storage IDs and locations are computed using a hashing algorithm to evenly distribute items across the workers. Shift ring account and container storage ID as a database, storing object metadata type. So proxy makes distributed searches across the database for item requests. The ring builder can add or remove nodes and rebalance distribution of files across servers. So object containers, account, shift, tenant controls. Shift to process list. Shift to components provides horizontal scaling and commodity hardware. It provides the public internet using load balancers. For example, OpenStack object hardware looks like the structures. Here left hand side provides the configuration of this total large scale deployment. Many config is possible available. So have things. So the workers, shift ring account and container storage ID as a database, storing object metadata type. So proxy makes distributed searches across the database for item requests. The ring builder can add or remove multiple images. Class looks like application programming interface like shift proxy and this tree. So Nova major components: API, message queue, scheduler and compute worker, volume. So major components: network having different type of listed below. quantum services. And then Nova messaging and data. Messaging is managed through RabbitMQ, persistent data stored in database. So messaging Rabbit get data from point A to point B, decouple publishers and consumers, queuing for later delivery, load balancing and scalability. So advanced message queuing protocol, network wire level protocol, internet protocol like HTTP. So messaging Rabbit looks like applicable Nova process, launching virtual machines using keystones, GLANs, Nova, Canon controls. So bursting provide looks like using public internet, public to private. Looks like application programming interface in this. Finally, quantum networking. Without quantum, originally Nova handles all networking by Linux bridge networking. Network managers provides VM to enable computer servers to interact with each other and the public network. Blocks states currently 90% of Nova bugs are network related. Originally, network manager, each virtual machine networks owned by the one network host. Nova network node is the only gateway. Flat network managed, flat DHCP network managed,